There's that time of year where lots of people have got colds, and that means they're going out for things like this: boxes of tissues, ibuprofen, Lemsip type tablets, just to try and get through it and get better. But we often do in these situations do what I just said. I just said go for Lemsip. That's the brand we've become accustomed to, isn't it? You think you've got a cold and Lemsip is the brand that's going to get you better. You might actually prefer Beecham's or something like that, but essentially we've got these brands in our head which you associate with getting better. And it's not just about having a cold. It could well be that we think of Nurofen for any kind of ibuprofen. You think about Berocca for those kind of effervescent vitamin C things. There are these brand names which we associate as probably the best things we can buy to get better. But of course, they do come at a cost. Now you're thinking about those sachets of Lemsip Max. Now at the moment in Boots, for 10 of those, it's going to cost you £4.99. That is a lot of money. Similarly, a pack of Nurofen at Boots is going to cost you £2.29. Now, yes, you can shop around and different places have them for less, but they are kind of quite expensive when you look around, and often you do have to look around, look up and look down on the supermarket or the chemist shelf to find these generic or own brand alternatives. And you think, well, they are cheaper, but they are own brand. Are they going to do the job? Are they going to make me better or give me the vitamins or whatever it might be, whatever it is that product that you bought? Is that own brand version going to be any good? Well, what you have to look at here is what is the active ingredients. Now, all of these things, they will have written down on them exactly what is inside. So something like paracetamol or ibuprofen, for example, it will probably say 500 milligrams of whatever it is. That's the active ingredient. And with ibuprofen, with paracetamol, that is all that's in there, okay? There's the standard stuff. There is nothing else in there other than that particular active ingredient, okay? It's the main thing. So actually, you probably aren't going to get much of a difference result if you do go for that cheaper generic option, and they can be a lot cheaper. I mean, I've got these ibuprofen in Waitrose for 45p, and you can get them cheaper than that in other places as well. 45 pence, right? And that's compared to £2.29 at Boots for the branded Nurofen version. It does exactly the same thing. Now, you might find with some products that there are slight differences in terms of perhaps sweetness. When you go to these kind of, those cold and flu tablets, the Lemsip type things, maybe there's a different sort of flavouring in there, maybe a different amount of sugar or whatever it might be. But if you are looking for what you look for, the active ingredients, you want something that is pretty much the same thing. You're going to get pretty much the same job. So let's go back to that Lemsip alternative when we said about now. Now that has inside it, in a sachet, 1,000 milligrams of paracetamol, and it has 12.2 grams of something I can't really quite pronounce. Phenylphrine. Basically, it's a decongestant. Okay, so they're the key ingredients you get, the active ingredients you get in a Lemsip. Now, if you pop over though to Boots and pick up their own brand version, and you look at the active ingredients, it says again, paracetamol 1,000 milligrams, phenylphine hydrochloride, okay, that decongestant, 12.2 milligrams. Essentially, it's got the same amount of paracetamol, the same amount of decongestants, and this is the Boots version, which is going to cost you £2.99 as opposed to £4.99 at Boots. Okay, that's a 40% difference in price just by getting Boots' own brand version. Now, it does have other things in here, like I said, got sucrose, so sugar, aspartame, so again, that's a sweetener, isn't it? And it's got sodium citrate. Okay, so those little things, maybe that's a little bit different to what you're getting a Lemsip. Maybe the taste could be slightly different, but in terms of getting you better, it's exactly the same kind of properties. But we can go better than this, actually, because once you've found those active ingredients that are the same, something else you can do, and sometimes this is for branded to own brand, sometimes within branded stuff. Sometimes the same brand can have different packaging for different items, but have exactly the same content. So when I say exactly, I mean everything is the same, exactly the same. And the way to find this out is to look for something called a PL number, okay? So PL is product license. Product license means that when they have, done the sciencey bits, formulated through the all the bits together to make it work, they have to get it kind of licensed. Okay, so that combination of ingredients to make that medical product has a PL number. And this is on the packet, okay? You don't have to look very far. Different places for different ones. Now, sometimes the one you'll get, say, the branded product could be the same as an unbranded product, okay? Exactly the same thing. Now, in this instance, this Boots one I've got the PL number here, 12063/0034. Now, that is different to the Lemsip one, okay? So that is not the exact same thing that you'll get in a Lemsip package in terms of exactly the same. Although, for all intents and purposes, it is the same, okay? But this number here, PL number, okay? So then I had a quick look at some other places, other own brand medicines. This one from Tesco. Again, all those ingredients are exactly the same as they are with the Boots one. And it is cheaper here. It is £2.09, okay? So you are saving yourself 90p if you bought it from Tesco. Again, talking about the active ingredients, so cheaper than the Lemsip, cheaper than the Boots. But what's interesting with this one is, if I can find the PL number on the back, PL 12063/0034. Exactly the same as the one that's on the Boots packet, okay? And it tells you where it's made as well. It's made in a place called Wafton Laboratories Limited in Wafton, Braunton, Devon. What is inside these two packets from Boots and from Tesco, exactly the same. The packaging is different, yeah, it's got different branding on it, but it's exactly the same. And interestingly, when you look at it, I mean, you kind of think, oh, that one looks a bit better, doesn't it? And that one does look a bit cheaper. I mean, it is Tesco, that is Boots. You'd trust a chemist over Boots, wouldn't you? It's exactly the same thing. And I've not done this everywhere, right? So who knows, there could be even more of these, but I went to Asda, okay? Boots, Tesco, and Asda. And again, not only are all the active ingredients the same, the quantity is the same, when you find that PL number, it is PL 12063/0034. Exactly the same items, again, the same combination of ingredients in these equivalent of Lemsip Max, these cold and flu Max Relief sachets. And this one in Asda, £1.75. So that is 41% cheaper than the Boots one, okay? For exactly the same product. So if this was 40% cheaper than buying the branded Lemsip equivalent, which has the same active ingredients, although maybe a slightly different makeup or other bits and pieces, the extras and stuff, not exactly the same product, but that's 40% cheaper than that. Well, this one here from Asda is 41% cheaper than there. And it's exactly the same thing. You know, it doesn't stop at that. Now, these things, I sort of showed you that Waitrose ibuprofen earlier on at 45p. Well, this Boots ibuprofen, that is also, they both share exactly the same PL number. And again, they're actually made by those same people that in Wafton in Braunton. Actually, that says Galpram Healthcare, and this is Wafton Laboratories Limited. So they are exactly the same location, but with a different company. Well, I don't know about that. Maybe that's a whole place where they make loads of things in different companies, or maybe they're just the same company with different names. But anyway, exactly the same product. And again, both cheaper than that Nurofen, 45p at Waitrose though, that's pretty good. So that's what you need to do. If you aren't well, don't just go straight for those branded products that you know, your Lemsips, your Nurofens, your Baroccas, whatever it is you're buying. Have a look up and down the shelves, because as I said before, sometimes they're lower down the shelf, hidden away for the own branded equivalent. Check those active ingredients first of all, but also check that PL number, because if you want to know exactly the same thing, the PL number is the key to that. And the instances where this can happen as well across the same brand is you might have one that says Nurofen for back pain and one says Nurofen for period pain, right? And you think, well, you want the pink one for your period, you want the blue one for your back pain, whatever it might be. But they're exactly the same product, it's just branding on the front as well. And sometimes there's a price difference. So it's always worth, if you've got a couple of minutes when you're in that chemist in the supermarket, just looking at the active ingredients and comparing that PL number. Now, at the start, I also mentioned, obviously, with colds in particular, so people are suffering from right now. The other thing you often tend to buy are tissues. I do tend to buy branded Kleenex tissues. I tend to buy these balsam ones just because I don't like having a really raw red nose. I've tried some supermarket equivalents, not been a fan. I'm sure there are some decent ones out there, but I tend to stick to these Kleenex balsam when I have a cold. Now, let me just show you something really interesting here. Here are 2 packs, okay? They look pretty much identical. But you might notice, if you can see, this one here has some, I think that's French and perhaps some German written on it. And that might give you a clue of where I got this. I got this in a pound shop. I can't remember what it's called, but in a pound shop for £1. Now, this one came in a multi-pack. I always shop around, I always try and get the best deal possible. Now, if you are buying it just generally, you're probably looking at £2 full price, maybe £1.50, maybe £1.25. Let's say £1.50 as a kind of fair enough kind of average kind of price if you are buying multi-packs or getting special offers, okay? So you're saving 50p by going to a pound shop, which is great. And it's exactly the same tissues inside, more or less. But when I had a quick look at this, I found something really interesting. This pack, which is the one that you can buy in the general UK supermarkets, chemists, wherever it might be, has 64 three-ply tissues in there, okay, of 20 by 20 centimetres with a total, okay, this is the amount of tissue paper in there, 2.5 meters squared, okay. I would never look at this stuff if I wasn't doing something like this for the, for my job, for the blog, for the videos, okay. 2.5 meters squared. That's the normal UK one. This European one, which I got in the pound shop, has 72 tissues. So what was that? That was 64. So we've got 8 more tissues in this pack, which gives us, and they're the same size, 3-ply, 20 by 20 centimeters per tissue, a total of 2.88 meters squared. So we can see there's not only more tissues for a lower price, but they also are exactly the same. So you get more, in total, more paper in there. So what does that mean? Just checking this out very quickly. I worked out now on that Pound World, Pound Land, whatever it was, box tissues, it's 1.4p a tissue. But if you're paying £1.50, and you could pay more for the generic UK version of the Kleenex Balsam, 2.3 pence per tissue. So 0.9p, nearly a penny difference between the tissues. That's quite a bit. And when you consider the fact that it was cheaper as well, it actually works out the equivalent of 90 for the same number of tissues. That is 67 pence more. It's 67% more to buy the one from the supermarket than pop into your pound shop. So if you've got a cold, head to your pound shop, I would say. This could change. Obviously, I think this is probably down to shrinkflation, and we see this all the time, don't we? Products getting smaller but staying the same price, and maybe those effects haven't hit in Europe, or maybe it's old stock. It might not last for long, but it's an interesting little thing to think about when you're buying stuff, is that it might look the same, doesn't mean it is the same. And it might look different when we come to these things, might look different, but it is exactly the same, and the price savings can be pretty substantial. 40% difference between the Boots Lemsip equivalent and Lemsip, 41% difference between the Asda one and that Boots one, which is exactly the same. I'm Andy Webb. Please do head over to becleverwithyourcash.com, and if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do. Till next time, cheers.